Hello, Muslim friends in the world. The sky over America looked gray that day, not because of the weather, but because the world had just witnessed one of the most controversial and dangerous decisions in modern U.S. history. Donald J. Trump, a political figure never far from controversy, returned to the stage of power with a single command that would change everything: the demolition of 5 mosques across the United States. Washington, D.C., 9 a.m. In a tense press conference, Trump declared that the mosques posed a threat to national security and must be shut down before it's too late. His words were met with cheers from far-right supporters, but also global outrage from religious leaders and human rights advocates. Within 24 hours, 5 mosques in different states were demolished under heavy security. Bulldozers, armed forces, and media blackouts surrounded the sacred sites. Secretly recorded amateur footage showed worshippers fleeing in fear, children crying, and local communities screaming in protest. The emotional explosion was immediate. Condemnations came pouring in from Muslim-majority countries, interfaith organizations, and international human rights groups. Mass protests erupted in the streets of New York, Chicago, and San Francisco. The world held its breath. Was this the start of a religious war? But no one expected that just days after the demolitions, something far more terrifying would rise. Not from politics, not from the people, but from something unseen and deadly. What exactly had been unleashed? A wound? A curse? Or something that even science couldn't explain? That day did more than spark outrage. It opened a door to something far darker. And this was just the beginning. 3 days after the demolition of 5 mosques that shook the world, New York City, a metropolis known for its vibrant energy, street music, and glowing billboards, suddenly turned into a ghost town. That morning, people woke up as usual, but something felt wrong. Hospitals began receiving strange cases. Patients with bleeding eyes, extreme body temperatures, and sudden violent seizures. Some died within just 6 hours of showing the first symptoms. Doctors called it an unknown infection syndrome, neither bacterial nor viral, and completely undetectable with standard medical equipment. The most terrifying part? The symptoms only appeared in New York. The city quickly became a red zone. Scientists were baffled. Officials were silent. And the people were terrified. Authorities declared a state of medical emergency. Military helicopters circled Manhattan. Hazmat-suited officers guarded the borough borders. The streets, once bursting with taxis and tourists, now echoed only with the sirens of ambulances and the silence of fear. But this wasn't just a medical crisis. Strange phenomena began to surface. People reported sudden, unexplained darkness during midday. Animals, birds, raccoons, even dogs, were seen fleeing urban areas as if sensing something unnatural. And at night, a faint, untraceable sound of prayer echoed from the ruins of the destroyed mosques, places that had been sealed off and abandoned. "This is not a normal illness," said a local religious leader in the Bronx. "This is a warning, or a punishment, and we haven't seen the worst yet." What exactly is happening behind this outbreak? Is it a biological weapon, or a curse unleashed by a sacred force we dared to disturb? New York is no longer just fighting a disease. It's fighting something it can't see. And this is only the beginning of a far greater storm. New York was no longer the only hotspot. Within less than a week, the mysterious outbreak began to spread to major cities worldwide. London, Istanbul, Paris, and even Jakarta. But what was truly terrifying was the bizarre pattern emerging. The spread made no sense. There was no airborne transmission, no known virus mutation, no scientific link to explain the outbreak. But each city that was struck had a direct connection to large Muslim communities. Even more disturbing, The main mosques in each of these cities had recently been vandalized or desecrated before the outbreak began. The world was beginning to panic. The World Health Organization, WHO, convened an emergency summit, but they had no scientific explanation. Meanwhile, the United Nations declared the crisis a cross-dimensional threat, a new term that even the diplomats hesitated to explain. Donald Trump, who had disappeared from the public eye since the mosque demolitions, finally reappeared, but not to apologize. In a leaked video, he said, "What's happening now is proof that they are not just a threat. They have powers that the world isn't ready to face. But I warned you all." His words ignited global outrage. Protests erupted in front of U.S. embassies in over 50 countries. Some even called for total boycotts of American products. Muslim-majority nations were considering cutting diplomatic ties. However, there were other voices in the chaos. Maybe this isn't about religion. Maybe this is about ancient energy that has been sealed away. And now, the seal is broken. The signs were undeniable. A glacier in Greenland cracked for no apparent reason. Flocks of birds migrated in erratic, unpredictable patterns. The skies above Mecca turned an eerie crimson at dusk, a color never seen before by camera. The world was no longer just talking about an outbreak. The world was on the verge of something much bigger, a shift in reality itself or a descent into chaos. And all eyes were now on one place, New York City, the birthplace of this chaos, and possibly the key to stopping it. New York was no longer the only epicenter. Within just a week, the mysterious outbreak began to spread to other major cities. London, Istanbul, Paris, even Jakarta. But what was truly strange was that the spread made no logical sense. There was no biological transmission, no virus mutation, nothing that medical science could explain. But there was one thing that did connect every affected city. Each one had a significant Muslim community, and in every city, the main mosque had either been attacked or defiled just days before the outbreak began. The world was descending into total panic. The World Health Organization, WHO, called for an emergency summit, but they had no answers. Meanwhile, the United Nations declared the crisis a cross-dimensional threat, a phrase that no one was willing to explain. Donald Trump, who had remained silent since the destruction of the mosques, finally reappeared, but not to apologize. In a video that leaked online, he made an unsettling declaration. What is happening now is proof that they're not just a threat. They possess powers that the world isn't ready to face. But I warned you all. The video ignited global outrage. Protests erupted outside U.S. embassies in over 50 countries. Some called for total boycotts of American products. Muslim-majority nations even considered breaking diplomatic ties with the U.S. Yet there were others who believed something deeper was at play. Maybe this isn't just about religion. Maybe it's about ancient energy that was sealed away. And now, the seal has been broken. Natural signs began to grow even more ominous. A glacier in Greenland cracked inexplicably. Flocks of birds took strange, erratic migration routes. The sky above Mecca turned an unnatural blood red during dusk, an event that had never been captured on camera before. The world was no longer just dealing with an outbreak. It was facing something far greater, far more terrifying. A shift in the very fabric of reality itself. And now all eyes were on one place, New York City, the birthplace of this chaos, and possibly the key to stopping it. All eyes were on New York. The outbreak hadn't stopped. Global tension was at an all-time high. But behind the scenes, a secret investigation team, composed of scientists, spiritual archaeologists, and interfaith leaders, had uncovered something unimaginable. Beneath the ruins of the last mosque destroyed in Manhattan, they discovered an ancient underground chamber, never recorded in modern construction blueprints. Inside, there were strange symbols, an unrecognizable language, and a black stone door that had already begun to crack. According to one ancient text expert, the door was the gate of the forgotten angel. An ancient legend spoke of 5 sacred sites around the world, each serving as a seal to imprison a primordial force known as the keeper of the balance of the world. And when those 5 seals were broken, the gate would open. And now the gate was open. The outbreak wasn't a virus. It wasn't a bacteria. It was a resonance of death energy that had been trapped deep within the earth. Energy that had been contained by the spiritual forces of sacred places for centuries. One of the Sufi leaders in the team said, "This isn't a curse. It's a system of protection. We were the ones who deactivated it." But there was still hope. According to ancient traditions, the gate could be closed again, only with a sincere apology, the reconstruction of sacred sites, and the unification of voices from 5 of the world's major faiths. But time was running out. Meanwhile, Trump refused to take responsibility. He vanished. Some reports claimed he was hiding in a remote location, heavily guarded by private security. Some theories even suggested he had known what would happen all along. The world was now at a crossroads. 1. Acknowledge the wrong, unite, and repair the spiritual damage that had been done, or 2. Allow human arrogance to open a door to something uncontrollable. Day 13 since the outbreak began. The sky over New York seemed darker than usual. And once again, a faint, eerie sound echoed from the ruins. "You opened it. You must close it. Is this the beginning of the end? Or do we still have time to rewrite the world's fate?"